friendly faces here today. It's nice to be here with all of you. I hope you're having a great conference. As noted, I am Frederick County Executive Jan Gardner, and on behalf of the citizens of Frederick County, I do want to extend a warm welcome to you. And for those of you who are serving as planning commissioners across the state, I want to say thank you for giving your time and your expertise to help make your community a better place to live and work. It's really an important role that will make a difference to the future of your community. And I also want to acknowledge our Maryland Planning Secretary, Rob McCord, and thank him for the support his staff has provided to our counties and municipalities over his term as secretary. Now, planning is an issue that is close to my heart. Obviously, Frederick County's population is growing and started to grow pretty rapidly 20 or 30 years ago. And it was the need to build schools to keep up with that growth that brought me into politics. And the first time I ever public spoke was actually before the Frederick County Planning Commission back in the mid-90s. And of course, I had been coached a little bit by the planning staff as to what was on the agenda and things I might want to consider. And so I public spoke, and it was very clear to me that the planning commissioners were listening to what I had to say, and they incorporated part of what I had suggested into their decision. And I really felt that I had been listened and heard and had made a difference. I was pretty excited by that fact, and that's how I was bitten by the bug of politics. I thought coming in and spending my time here was really well worth it. And that is how people can shape the future of our communities. And it really does work. So fast forwarding a little bit, I actually served on the Frederick County Planning Commission then from 1998 till 2002, and enjoyed having that opportunity to serve in that role. So I do understand what that is all about. So planning is a real crucial function of local government. Sometimes it can get pretty contentious and political. People do care what's happening in their backyard. So without planning, none of our counties could reach their full potential. And people think of land use planning as focusing on growth areas and doing growth well, and certainly it is that. But it's also about protecting and preserving the things we value. I always say what we do outside our growth areas is just as important as what we do inside them. And we certainly want to build a community looking to the future that we believe future generations will enjoy. So I'm proud of Frederick County and its ability to grow and thrive. Frederick is actually ranked among the top 20 best places to live in America, according to livability.com. People love and enjoy our rich history. We have authentic history here. And certainly we have a lot of recreational things for people to do. We have great food, and I say that while you're eating. And there's really something for everybody here in our community. Downtown Frederick, and I know you heard from the mayor earlier today, is really special. It is an authentically historic downtown, and I think it's a real gem for our community. We also have a lot of history in our rural areas. Historic bridges and covered bridges are something that we're known for, but lots of other historic places as well. And I think all of these historic and cultural amenities that we have helped to preserve over time really help to give us a sense of place and a sense of belonging. And it is that sense of place as a community grows and changes that really, I think, is our special sauce and our secret sauce. It's really what makes us a special place to live, and it's what people value about our community. And I'm sure that unique sense of place exists in all of your counties, and we need to make sure that we keep that as we move forward with planning in our communities. We also need to create a structure that allows us to grow in a logical manner and to maintain that sense of place. And we know if we do that, that great things happen. Now, we've taken special steps to focus our growth in areas where it makes the most sense. And we've also tried to balance and preserve our history in our urban areas as well as in our rural areas. We adopted a few years ago a key initiative of mine, which is our award-winning Livable Frederick Plan, which takes a comprehensive look at the factors for a high quality of life in our community. And it considered things that were a little bit different to comprehensive plans like health, jobs in the economy, and the environment. So we wrapped some new ideas into our Livable Frederick plan. And I think it strikes a good balance between accommodating population and business growth in our community while preserving our rural land, our historic and cultural assets, and the scenic vistas that our residents cherish. What makes the plan special is that it's based on a shared community vision of what we want to see our county look like moving forward. And when there's a shared vision, the goal is clear, and the path to reach that goal is a bit easier to travel. Instead of the traditional methods of creating a comprehensive plan where we first consider what we think our population will look like in 20 years, and then we determine how much land we'll need to accommodate that, we did this a little bit different. We reached out to people who live and work in our community, and we asked them what it is they value most about our community. Then we asked them what they thought Frederick should look like in 20 or 30 years. We asked them to think about who would be living here, how would they be working, to think about how people might want to recreate, what would people value in 20 or 30 years. And then we outlined action items needed to turn that vision into a reality. So when you look into the future, the most interesting thing from all that survey effort from my perspective was that we found that young people and the older senior population really wanted almost the exact same things. They wanted to live in urban areas, they wanted to have walkable communities, they wanted to have access to transportation, they wanted to have access to things to do, places to eat, places to recreate. And it was quite striking to see that the same types of things were wanted by people on both ends of our generational expanse. So I thank you for doing your part to make your communities the best they can be, whether you're a planning commission member or you're a planning staff member. It's really a challenge sometimes to work with the community and to really get the outcome that you're striving for. Just as important, I think taking advantage of these professional development opportunities like this conference are a wonderful opportunity for you to learn from each other and to share best practices. Taking advantage of the opportunities to talk with your colleagues in other jurisdictions is really important. I have been a long advocate of the Maryland Association of Counties. I was its president in 2007, and I really think the camaraderie among elected officials and sharing, just what your experiences are, there's a lot of commonality, and it's important to build those friendships and those relationships. So if you have a challenge, sometime you can call somebody in another part of the state and say, hey, what did you do when you faced this challenge? And you can get some really good ideas. So I do hope you enjoy your time in Frederick County. I would invite you to come back sometime with your families, explore our rich history, visit downtown city of Frederick, enjoy some good food, hit one of our wineries or breweries. We have a lot of those. I always wonder what the saturation point is for that, so to speak, but we haven't hit it yet. That's all I know. But we have a wine and brewery trail, and people seem to want to come and enjoy this. And of course, we have lots of places to recreate and lots of history in our county that people could come and discover. So there's truly something for everyone in Frederick County, so come back and visit us. I hope you have a great conference and that it's productive for all of you. And thank you for the opportunity to share a few words today.
Thank you, County Executive Gardner. Next, we're going to pivot to, I want to welcome Secretary McCord, who I've had the honor to work for almost 6 years now. Secretary McCord is going, of anybody, I know he appreciates the work of citizen planners. He's going to share a few words with you, and then we're going to go into what I usually consider, or what I do consider to be the best part of this conference every year, and that's where we recognize citizen planners from around the state. And Secretary McCord will be running that ceremony as well.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Joe. Thank everything that Joe and the staff at the Department of Planning do. Just one person has to sit at the top of that, and this doesn't happen without a good staff. So I have great staff. I really appreciate that. I am thankful to the county executive. We have known each other for a long time. I came from Hartford County, so we had similar issues. We just learned from Frederick and try to not repeat some of those things, but we don't have all three of our municipalities could fit into the city of Frederick. We have the history we have a story to tell in Hartford also. My son was married here in Frederick, and I have lovely memories that I can still recall from the Clintock Distillery where the reception was. So you have distilleries in addition to wineries and brewery.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. So, and lunch with a colleague last weekend here, a priest friend who was at St. John's. So I learned all about what's happening next to St. John's, just the way it was in your program, from my priest friend having lunch here last week. So I have my connections here also. Planning is often thought of as something decided outside the public realm, something solely the work of staff members and elected officials, property owners, developers. Planning is really about people. It's about how we want to live, work, play, and I just use the word pray in quotes because it's not just houses of worship, it's about what we value and what we're willing to orient our lives around. What we're willing to hold a sign for. That's part of planning too. So planning involves preserving the past, our history. The Maryland Historical Trust is underneath the Department of Planning. People said that's kind of weird. It used to be under some other agency. How about let's understand where we came from as we try to put together what we're doing and where we're going. So preserving the past is important. You'll have two honorees today who are about preserving the past. I was asked to speak in Hartford County the first time for the county executive and sub in and say, this is a historic preservation ceremony. So I came up with a quote I found, and I know I changed it around, but I said the two enemies of historic preservation are unenlightened people and rain. Because the rain will always take it out. Whatever you have, to secure it. The rain's going to wear it down. So unenlightened people, I used to say stupid people, but I say unenlightened people. Unenlightened people and rain. So many are familiar with development projects and proposals, having hearings, community input that are reactive and don't really follow flow from citizen engagement. I've been in local government those 16 years before I came to my 8 years of state service. My experience has been that the more citizen involvement, the more that citizens participate at all levels, the better the outcomes. I clearly understand that you cannot make everybody happy. If you don't get that the first couple months you're in government at the local level, you're never going to get it. You're never going to make everyone happy. So you need to involve the citizens, as many different voices as you can. We've learned during the pandemic how we can reach out electronically. That can't be the only way we reach out, because sometimes only electronic things are not going to get it done for us. People will type the same thing and then hit it to 100 people. They never would have talked to 100 people in the room. They never would have had somebody react to that and say, well, but did you think of this? Did you think of that? All that online stuff is one aspect of how we communicate. Communication is way more than that. I have my staff in a common collaboration day. Make sure everybody's here on the same day. Because I want to make sure that if you say, I need a map of this, the mapping section can say, well, that'll take about a month. And they said, well, what if I didn't need this piece? I can do that in a week. Well, because you saw the face, because you understood what was going on. You can look at everything we have in the state data center. I'd remind you, state data center now has the inside and outside the PFA maps all updated per jurisdiction and how we've been doing these past 8 years compared to a segment before that. And we're like higher than like 83% inside the PFA. We've been trying to make sure that our growth and development is oriented to where people have the water and the sewer and the facility. So I think we're good for that. Hold on a second. I only turned it on not to tell myself I was talking too long. So I'm just about finished here. So effective citizen planning doesn't require a person to be on a formal board. Community and organizational leaders represent the needs of stakeholders. They bring others into the table when discussing planning and development. The only partnership with citizen planners of all types, formal and informal, can staff, elected officials, and property owners effectively meet and prepare for the challenges when everybody's there. There's all kinds of challenges on the horizon. This is one of the reasons that the Maryland Planning Commissioners Association exists. You're all joined here in that same enterprise today. Maryland law actually places distinct responsibilities and confers unique authority on county and municipal planning boards of all types. From crafting a comprehensive plan, reviewing and recommending ordinances, regulations, citizen planners play a vital community role that is part of good governance in Maryland. It ensures community development that works for everybody. So far too often, that role of the citizen planner is overlooked. Not today. Today we celebrate 2 boards and 2 individuals whose contributions to their communities cannot be overlooked. So if you were here for the further ado, you're not getting any more. We're here to do the awards. So I'd like to recognize the City of Brunswick Preservation and Revitalization Committee and ask a representative of that committee to share a few words with you.
Hi, my name is Andy St. John. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem of Brunswick. I was not actually on the committee. I was on, but they have asked me to say a few words today. When I was elected in 2016, a big component of my campaign was historic preservation. We had no legislation or anything like that to protect any of our historic structures in Brunswick. There had been an earlier effort to get this going in the 1970s, but not much had happened. So, after some consideration, we decided to try to do a conservation district rather than a full-blown historic district, since that's considerably less overhead for the city and perhaps not quite so onerous on the residents as well. In view of that, we decided to seat a committee and to do some research and see what other legislation was out there. So we formed a committee, sat them down, and I think it's noteworthy that these folks met every week for almost 2 years, interviewing other municipalities, reviewing legislation, seeing what else was out there. They crafted legislation, went through legal review, state review, all the other things, and ultimately we passed our Brunswick Conservation District last year, and since then it has been applied to over a dozen projects. And I can also safely say that it may be a coincidence, but since we have passed that Conservation District in Brunswick, we have 3 or 4 times as many downtown renovation projects going on as we did before. And we're all happy to see that. So, we're happy today to make presentations to the members of the committee who could come down.
Come on up.
What's your name? Kelly Wood? Kelly Wood? And the other one? Here we go. Jill's gonna take a picture.
The MPCA would also like to recognize Tom Leibel, former chair, Baltimore City Commission of Historic and Architectural Preservation, and ask the representative of Baltimore City chapter to share a few words on behalf.
Hi, my name is Chris Rahm, I'm the Director of Planning for the City of Baltimore, and like the state, the Preservation Organization in Baltimore City is part of the Department of Planning. So I'm not sure who came first, but great minds think alike. I just want to read a couple of things about Tom. Over the past decade, Tom Leibel has played an important role in historic preservation in Baltimore. We were lucky to have one of the nation's leading experts in adaptive reuse, particularly adaptive reuse of historic factories, at the helm of our commission. But unfortunately, earlier this year, he ended his second term as chair of CHAP, which stands for the Commission on Historic and Architectural Preservation, and is the city's Historic Preservation Commission and division of the Planning Department. and oversees 38 local historic districts comprised of over 15,000 structures, over 200 historic landmarks, and several hundred historic city-owned staff. We do all that with a staff of 6, to point out. As chair, Tom helped staff integrate into the planning department to connect the work of the commission to other citywide initiatives, such as our work with the Sustainability Division to develop flood mitigation guidelines for historic districts impacted by flooding. Those of you that know Fells Point and Baltimore know some of our work we've done there. And Tom carefully guided the update to the city's historic preservation ordinance, making sure that preservation in Baltimore was strengthened, not weakened in that process. And he supported major policy changes like the adoption of guidelines that meaningfully address lead paint. Baltimore City is one of the first preservation commissions in the country to address lead-based paint hazards in their design guidelines. And finally, he was also a great promoter of the city's historic property tax credit, which celebrated $1 billion of investments in his tenure. Throughout all his time as chair, Tom listened to the public and provided sound guidance to our applicants, the public, and staff as we reviewed projects large and small. And so we want to thank Tom.
Tom. Thank you so much.
The Harford County boy was born in Baltimore, baptized at Holy Rosary, and at the Pendry Hotel, when they opened it up, because we gave them tax credits, brought me down there and said, well, look at what we did here. This used to be, my mother roller skated up there when it was the recreation pier. And underneath here was the Union Hall, where my grandfather Stevedore came to get the list of ships that came in and which gangs were unloading them. And I didn't understand anything they were saying, all in Polish, the Polish side of the family. And take me back, stop at the corner bar, and my grandmother said, did Pop-Up take his medicine? I said, yeah, he did. I didn't know he was ratting them out. Maybe he could see him seven, right? But there's 3 codfish cakes and a Coke for $0.25 in the corner. And he was up checking his numbers, and before we had a lottery that was legal, and taking his medicine. So, Baltimore City, and those cobblestones, and Ford Fairlane with the box of tissues going back and forth, and we turned, and we were getting close because we hit the field of cobblestones before we got near the waterfront. So, wonderful memories that some people only have pictures in black and white. I have in color of Baltimore City.
Right.
So I want Baltimore City to thrive. Right. Point of personal privilege. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead to the next one. The MPCA would like to also recognize Harford County Historic Preservation Commission and ask the representative of that commission to share a few words for you. You got a rep from Harford County? Yes. I just hate giving myself an award, so I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Benson, and with me today is Stephanie Soder. We are the Historic Preservation Planners for the Harford County Department of Planning and Zoning. We are here today to recognize the hard work of the citizen planners that serve on the Harford County Historic Preservation Commission for their work on the first ever Harford County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. The creation of the guidelines was a multi-year project beginning in 2020. HPC members worked with county staff and a consulting architecture firm to draft and revise the guidelines, solicit public comments, and then vote to adapt the full guidelines in 2022. Recognizing the complexities of balancing preservations with the needs of a modern society, the guidelines cover topics from general repair and rehabilitation to the use of modern materials and sustainability enhancements. The guidelines also serve as an objective tool for use by the HPC and county staff when reviewing changes to properties protected by the Harford County Historic Landmark designation. The work of our HPC members allowed Harford County to fulfill a major historic preservation goal of our Harford Next Master Plan and is a significant advancement for our historic preservation program. Many of our citizen planners have full-time jobs and other responsibilities, and so unfortunately they could not be here today to accept their recognition. But we believe that this further proves their dedication to Harford County, that they can carve out time in their busy schedules to ensure the protection of Harford County's historic and cultural resources. It is for this project and their overall dedication that we are happy to recognize our HPC today. Thank you. That's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it again from Harford County. The MPCA would also like to recognize Jerry Pesterfield, former chair, Anne Arundel County Planning Board, and ask that a representative of the Planning Board share a few words on the work.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Cindy Carrier, and I'm representing the county, Anne Arundel County's Office of Planning and Zoning. So when the call for nominations came out for this award, Jerry Pesterfield was by far the first person that came to mind. For over 10 years, he has dedicated his time volunteering and being engaged in Anne Arundel County government. He served on at least 7 different committees, including the county's recycling committee a few years back when we were faced with looking at our landfills being full by the time of 2010. So with his work on the recycling committee, we were able to move forward boosting recycling in the county to the point where now we're looking at 2040. So it expanded the life of our landfill for well over 20 years. In addition, he served on a septic task force that was looking at converting public sewer to, septic systems to public sewer to improve the environment. All this helping to implement our general development plan. Jerry served almost 10 years as chair of our planning advisory board, where he was extremely engaged, not just showing up at the board meetings, but he would go out into the communities. When we did public outreach as part of the planning process, Jerry was there with us. He led the board into a consensus recommendation to have our recommending that our plan be adopted. Through his work on these boards and committees, he has helped the county develop policies that promote smarter growth, more effective environmental protections, and greater responsibilities. So thank you, Jerry.
One last round of applause for the citizen planners, the people that volunteer their time, the people whose input is invaluable to making sure our communities are what we want them to be. So, thank you.
Thank you, Secretary McCord, and thank you to everyone who was here to celebrate the work of citizen planners and who nominated somebody to be recognized this year. We've been doing this for, what would you say, Danny? 2018, 2019? Yes. It was it's an outgrowth of our strategic plan. Bill Butts was the primary author of that we adopted in 2018, but to celebrate the work of citizen planners. And we hope to, if the MBCA not if it can't do anything else, education's first, but we should always be celebrating the work of citizen planners. So thank you. I will say we're going to be transitioning to our keynote address here shortly. As you've probably seen me do many times already this past 2 days, I need to set up something up here. So if you want to take a very quick break to run to the restroom, grab some more food or a drink, feel free. But I'll be introducing our keynote speaker, Eli Glazier, here as soon as I'm able. So, but please, won't be long.